Hello, it's Dawn Michelle from Boho Tarot, and today we're going to be doing a proper walkthrough of the Pear Tree Court Oracle by our very own Dani Mystic. Now, I already sort of did a little walkthrough of this deck because I got really excited when it came, and I did a sort of kind of deck haul or goodie haul at that point where I showed this deck along with a few others because I was just so dang excited to get this deck. I absolutely love the aesthetic of it, and I love the inspiration and the idea behind this deck. So I already kind of flipped through all the cards in that, but I thought this deck deserved a proper walkthrough, so we're gonna go ahead and take a look at it today. Can we just first talk about these beautiful backs on this Pear Tree Court? We have the gorgeous little pear painting here with the crackling background, which Dani has overlaid over the cards, and I think it's just absolutely beautiful. So let's go ahead and take a look at the cards in this deck. So here we have anxiety, anger, adventure, boundaries, beauty, clarity, caution, confidence, communication, control, contentment, conflict, discovery, discontent, deceit, creativity, fluidity, family, doubt, grief, gratitude, gossip, illusion, guidance, knowledge, judgment, inspiration, lust, love, logic, mystery, mindful, melancholy, openness, nurture, nostalgia, patience, partnership, opulence, purity, poise, perception, rest, refuse, pursuit, timing, surprise, skill, vision, trust, withdraw, Versailles, Marie Antoinette, and past. So now that we've had a chance to take a look at the cards in the deck, let's talk real quick about some of the things that come with this deck. We have, of course, our deck of cards. Dani has included this beautiful little linen bag here, which has the pear stamp on it. It's just adorable. Fits the aesthetic of the deck so well. We also have a little printout here with the Pear Tree Court where we have a little message for each of the cards, which I think is just absolutely wonderful. So let's go ahead and read a little bit from the little booklet that Dani's included. We can use our card of anxiety here as our sample. So it says, life can be a nail-biting ball of chaos, but it's time to take a breath. Ask yourself, is it fact or is it fear? Worry will not serve you. Make a plan, take it one step at a time. I really love the messages that Dani's created in this little fold out. I think they are just fantastic. She has a really wonderful way of taking the energy of the card and transforming it into a message that you can use in, I think, a lot of different ways in your readings. They can be used as focal points in a larger reading. They can be used as cards for meditation or something to think about in the moment. They also have quite a few questions, so giving you things that you might want to reflect on or journal about as well. So it's just absolutely beautiful. Really wonderful deck with a lot of potential on the different ways that you can use it. And I really love this cardstock because this shuffles beautifully. I mean, really, can you ask for a better shuffle? I mean, they just riffle beautifully, they overhand beautifully, they're not catching my lights in a terrible, terrible way. And they're a great tarot size, which is just fantastic because I think that's gonna work really well with lots of my tarot decks. And of course, they just look absolutely stunning on the table. Let's get out some of my tarot decks because I'm really interested to see how this deck pairs with some of my tarot decks as well. So the first deck that came to mind for pairing with the Pear Tree Court was the Victorian Romantic, because these, I think, have a very similar energy and a very similar aesthetic, and I think they are just going to look beautiful together. But I also think that the messages will be really cohesive. So I've basically shuffled the Victorian Romantic and split the deck, and where it split was the Fool on this side and the World on this side, with the Nurture card in the middle. I think that's beautiful, this message of nurturing that journey that you make from the Fool to the World. I mean, how perfect is that to start us off today? So here we have the Six of Wands and the Nine of Swords with anxiety in between. What anxieties are being brought to the surface for you from this journey that you're undertaking? I think that's just beautiful. We have guidance between the Chariot and the Eight of Pentacles. Oh, loving these messages together. Judgment between the Ten of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands. I also love the play of color that we're seeing between these two decks. They have a very similar aesthetic. Oh, look at this. Grief between the Ten of Swords and the Page of Cups. How beautiful is that? I'm really, really loving these decks together. I think they just fit so well together. And it's funny because the background color on Pear Tree Court actually is really close to the background color on the border of the Victorian Romantic. So it does feel like they kind of tie together. If we even were to lay them down next to each other instead of spaced apart, I think they would kind of make like a story in the sense that they would flow together. So let's just see if I take away all these other cards, this stack of cards that's distracting from it, we can see here that they make a beautiful story together on the table. I love how the backgrounds kind of meld into each other, even though we have the border on the Victorian Romantic. I think that's just really beautiful. So the next pairing that I thought would be absolutely stunning is the Revival Art Tarot with the Pear Tree Court. This, I believe, is the first edition. And again, aesthetically speaking, I think they just look absolutely beautiful together. But I'm always curious to see how the messages play out. So here we have the card of timing in between the Empress and the Chariot. The Chariot is definitely about moving forward, but moving forward when it's the right time for you to move forward, when it's the right time to nurture that new journey that you're going on. And these are both major arcana cards, so these are big energies that we're talking about here. Just beautiful. Here we have gossip between the Knight of Wands and the Seven of Cups. Gorgeous. Inspiration between the Eight of Coins and the High Priestess. How beautiful is that? This is one of my favorite High Priestess cards. Finding that deep inspiration within, that divine inspiration within that's going to fuel your kind of outer work. I think that's absolutely stunning. So here we have patience between Judgment and the Ten of Cups. Interesting. All good things come to those who wait, right? Definitely get that idea here. Oh, look at the play of color. That was not the right card. I don't like to pick up extra cards because I feel like they come out for a reason. So we have Lust in between the Four of Wands and the Knight of Cups. Interesting card. I love the play of color that we're getting between these two decks. I think that's just absolutely beautiful. And the messages feel like they are very cohesive. We have the card of contentment between the Nine of Swords and the Nine of Coins. So trying to find contentment in those two sides of life, right? In kind of what's going on in the mind and what's going on in reality or in the material world. Trying to find that contentment between those two ways of being. I think that's beautiful. Here's our family card. Family between the Wheel and the Three of Swords. Interesting. Beautiful messages. And I really love the kind of light and shadow that Dani has in her deck in terms of the keywords. They're not all, you know, affirmative keywords, right? We do have some of those more challenging aspects as well. And I think it just works beautiful. And cards like we see here with Control, that could be taken in a light or a shadow way, right? It could be either one. Between Justice and the Eight of Wands. I mean, just look at that imagery. And the colors, I love the contrast of the really, really dark color tones in the Revival art with the nice, beautifully muted and neutral color tones of the Pear Tree Court. I think they're just stunning together. So one more indie deck that I was really excited to pair with the Pear Tree Court is the Tildwick Tarot. Now this is has been out of print. The creator has sadly passed away, but his brother has picked up the torch and has brought this deck back into production. So I do believe that it is either available now or will be soon, because it is just an absolutely fantastic deck. And I was so excited to do this particular pairing because the Tildwick Tarot is one of my favorite decks to really kind of tap into meditation and getting into that headspace. And I feel like the Pear Tree Court would really help bring out those messages of what do I need to be focusing on during this meditative time. And I think that they're going to work beautifully together. And the color palettes, oh, just stunning. Look at that. Melancholy between the Three of Staves and the Seven of Swords. Beautiful. The Tildwick Tarot feels like kind of the inner landscape of like a Victorian manor. And I love that that pairs so well with the Pear Tree Court, where the Oracle deck's really providing us the focal point for these readings, for these cards. You know, where can we find the mystery? We can find mystery in the Three of Swords and the Knight of Swords. You know, what do we need to look for in our past? What do we need to be aware of in the past? We can look to the Four of Staves and the Pope for that information. Just absolutely beautiful. What do we need to trust in? The Tower, the change that comes from the Tower, and the Ace of Staves. Beautiful. Oh, look how lovely that is. Again, just the colors. We have all this rich, detailed artwork going on in the Tildwick Tarot, and then this very quiet, very minimalistic, neutral imagery going on in the Pear Tree Court, which I think just balances that out just absolutely beautifully. I'll do one more. Beauty. Beauty between the Empress and the Two of Cups. I mean, how perfect is that? So looking to pair this deck with some mass market decks, I pulled out the Tarot of Mystical Moments. Now these are two decks that I think both have a sort of vintage Victorian feel to them, but the Tarot of Mystical Moments really inhabits the kind of dreamscape world for me, where I feel like the Pear Tree Court is more kind of in the mundane world, and I thought it might be really interesting to pair those together and to look at how we can kind of meld those two worlds, those two ways of being together. The Tarot of the Mystical Moments is fantastic for helping me to look at things from a different perspective. And I think that the Pear Tree Court provides a really great focal point for that, because sometimes there can be a lot going on in these cards and it can be hard to kind of hone in on one particular message. So by using the Pear Tree Court in the middle, I'm able to kind of provide that really foundational, succinct focal point for my message. And then I can look to my tarot deck to really dive deeper into that message. So we have doubt between the Knight of Swords and the Sun. Gorgeous. Here we have openness between the Six of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles. What do we need to be open to? What experiences do we need to be open to having? Gorgeous. Here we have conflict between the King of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords. Interesting. Again, I love the kind of more minimalistic artwork that we have in the Pear Tree. I think that pairs really beautifully with more busy decks like we see here in the Tarot of Mystical Moments, where there's a lot going on in the cards. And again, that I love when the word I'm about to use is on the card. The Pear Tree Court really provides some clarity amidst all of the sort of busyness and symbolism and messages, deep layered messages within the busier cards. And I think that's just beautiful. Here we have withdrawal between the Page of Swords and the Hermit, right? It's time to go inward and do that deep inner study. Gorgeous. Okay, one more. Adventure between the Five of Cups and the Two of Swords. One more mass market deck that I really was excited to pair the Pear Tree Court with is the Influence of Angels. This is one of my favorite sort of collage Renaissance style art decks, and it's absolutely beautiful. I love the little angels that pop up in each card. I love looking for those. And I love, again, that same similar art style and vibe that we get through the Pear Tree Court, really providing that focal point of what do we need to focus on. And the thing that I really like about this one is that I can take this idea of confidence and I can look to the little angels. Where do they appear in the cards? And maybe that might give me some sort of indication of where I need to kind of work to build some confidence. It just adds kind of a different, interesting layer to the cards and gives you kind of some different things to look at. Here we have discontent between the Five of Pentacles and Judgment. I mean, I would say, yeah, those could definitely be some cards that could breed some discontent. Maybe Judgment is telling us to leave that discontent behind, to rise above it. I think that's just beautiful. I know I keep saying beautiful. I'm sorry. These are just beautiful decks. Everything is beautiful. Here we have opulence between our Five of Swords and our Ten of Pentacles. Again, I love the sort of contrast between these kind of darker toned, little bit busier decks and pairing that with the more muted, subtle energies of the Pear Tree Court. I think they're just stunning. Here we have skill between Eight of Cups and the Star. I could do this all day long, just flipping through these cards like this. Oh, look at the play of red where you can pick up the little hints. I love that when I can pick up little color messages. I think that's so beautiful. You have purity between Strength and the Ten of Wands. So the Pear Tree Court is just another thoughtfully, beautifully created deck. I absolutely love Dani's aesthetic, so it's really no surprise that her decks really appeal to me. We often chat about journaling stuff and aesthetic things like that back and forth, and I just absolutely adore the way that she approaches her creations. She is so thoughtful with what she creates. There's so much love and intention within them, and I think you can really feel that through her decks. And this one is just so sweet, so loving. I am so excited to have it in my collection. It pairs beautifully with so many of my sort of historic or old school vintage Victorian style decks, and sometimes those are really hard for me to find a really good oracle pair for, so I'm really excited to have this one to work with. Yes, I'm totally gushing about this deck. Yes, Dani and I are friends, just full disclosure there, but I bought this deck like with my own hard-earned money. It was not gifted to me or anything like that, not sent to me for review. This was a deck that I truly wanted to have in my collection, and so I purchased and was so excited to get it, and I'm so happy to be able to share it with you here today. I would love to know if you have this deck, what your thoughts are on it, so please feel free to share with me in the comments below. Thank you for joining me today. You'll find links for everything featured here in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you again soon for more creative tarot for an inspired life.